Hi, everyone. So thank you so much for just giving us a couple of minutes so that we could do the swapsies. But for our next segment, our Power User Spotlight. So I'm so excited about this. But firstly, welcome, Steph. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today and to share how Medibank is using video content within their talent branding strategy. So, yeah, thanks again for joining us this morning, and welcome, Steph.
Thanks for having me.
So to start us off today, Steph, can you tell us a little bit about your role and a little bit about your team as well?
Yeah, sure. So we're quite a large team at Medibank. We're a team of around about 30 people, and we sit across the areas of diversity and inclusion. We have a specialised health recruitment team, a channels team, which is our call centre and our retail network, and then we have a corporate team, and then we have our day rate contractor team as well. So it's quite a large team that we work across at Medibank. And I have recently moved into a new role, which is a talent initiatives lead. And my focus is basically everything candidate experience, people leader experience, and talent partner experience to make sure that everyone's having fun in their jobs, which we'll talk about a bit more today. So yeah, I've loved working with the VideoMyJob tool, and it's, we've got quite creative with it. So I'm excited to talk about that with you.
Amazing. That's so great. Well, firstly, it sounds like your team is multifaceted and that you sit across various areas. What made you initially explore video as a solution, and then what led to the implementation of VideoMyJob?
Yeah, so I guess we wanted to find a way to add personality to our content and the way that we sourced beyond adverts. A brand is really customer centric, and we had some really strong employer branding for the Medibank enterprise that had been created. It was around 2019, but we have a lot of different brands that sit under Medibank. So we have a really large health services business, and we really wanted to create some content that captured the employee stories across the whole enterprise. Whereas, the great employee branding was great, but it sat at a much higher level and didn't get into the detail of people's lives. And we wanted to be able to kind of easily take that to market really quickly, which is why we kind of chose to go with VideoMyJob, which is great.
I love this. So it sounds like you're using video across a few different areas. Can you delve into a little bit more about those use cases? I know that we've sort of spoken before, so I know that you're using it across, candidate experience, recruitment marketing, and I also know you guys have your story feed up, which looks amazing. So can you talk us through a little bit more about how you're using it across that?
Yeah, definitely. So we have our story feed set up, which was kind of the place that we first started. I actually wasn't in this role when that was set up, but I played a part in it. It's fun. And with that, it was really around capturing the employee stories and also the benefits that we have for Medibank in those videos. So if you jump on there, you can see we've got videos across, how we work. One of the most common questions you get from a candidate is, how often do you go into the office? Like, what does working look like? So why not capture that in a video? So definitely we built up our story feed first, and then it was very much around getting the team across how VideoMyJob actually worked itself. And so we use it in a couple of different ways. So we looked across our processes for our frontline teams, which is one of the things that I'm most excited about, how we've used VideoMyJob. And we thought, how can we go about removing some of the really transactional conversations our frontline teams are having over and over again? So this is the roster. These are the days that you need to come into the office. Do you have a stable Wi-Fi connection? And it's not fun for the candidate to have to hear that. It's not fun for the team to have to repeat it 200 times. So how can we capture that in a video and send that to the candidates, along with things like, adding personal touches during our process. This is what an assessment centre looks like. Here's a brief from a recruiter so you can watch it and prepare. Congratulations on your offer. Here are the next steps from your background check. So taking all of those bits out, and then instead of just saying we've saved 6 hours each process and being like, hurrah, actually using that time to reuse the conversations for things like delving in with behavioural questions to understand more about the candidate and focusing on quality. So that's something that the team has really enjoyed. We've got some great candidate feedback around that as well. Lots of people have said, we either just talk through this on the call or we get an email saying here's the detail. Can you go ahead? And
so you've really personalized that.
Yeah. So we've got some great feedback around that, which is really exciting. We've also, from a corporate team perspective, we've been focusing on capturing videos from hiring managers alongside our job adverts, particularly for hard to fill roles. We use the line a lot, like, wouldn't you prefer to hear from your manager rather than me? And you're going to be talking to me during the recruitment process a lot already. So great that they can have that first touch point. And we're actually using that quite a bit with proactive search as well. So sending that through LinkedIn too. We've got lots of videos sitting alongside all of our adverts as well. So on Seek, for example, popping the links in there, which is we've got some really solid feedback on too. And then from an internal perspective, we have been using it to capture employee stories. So we recently relaunched our diversity and inclusion networks at Medibank. After COVID, we really wanted to relaunch them now that people could be in the office and reconnect. And we wanted to put a face to each of the employee network names. So we got the people leading those networks to create a video and kind of drum up some real excitement around that as well. So yeah, those are probably the core ways that we've been using it at Medibank at the moment. So we've been using it a bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So look, can you tell us, because it sounds like you are using it across a few different areas, and I know that we've got within our community, I've spoken to a fair bit of, our customers where, we're constantly getting questions where, how do you get your people on video? How did you get that adoption going?
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about, firstly, your adoption challenges that you faced and then how you overcame that?
Yeah, I mean, we were having a bit of a giggle before. I think the biggest thing is people don't like to film themselves, which is totally fair enough. I'm like, don't want to look at this screen in front of me right now. So yeah, definitely people don't want to film themselves. And that's, I think, something that's not going to change. What you have to get around is kind of really selling why the investment is worth it. And so we had to get really creative around that, to be honest. So kind of split it in a couple of different ways. So from a TA, like from our team perspective, we did things like we actually ran a challenge and we got people to capture videos of their pets to have like a pet off competition.
I love that.
Which was really fun. My dog won, so everyone knows. Wags is officially the cutest dog. And that was great because it just got people really familiar with the app. And you didn't necessarily have to be on video, but you got to figure out like how do you edit it and all those kind of things, so that you had a bit more confidence with hiring managers when you're going out to them, how the links work. And we had like a prize for that, which was really good. And to be honest, leading by example. So we did have, with the case that I was speaking through before, the team wrote the scripts, but I was like, okay, I get it. You don't want to be in front of the camera. So I was the face of that campaign. And now they've seen the value that it's added. So now it's, this is your campaign to run moving forward as well. So I really think, like, as uncomfortable as you feel, just jumping in front of the camera and showing people the value of it is a really good way to go about it from a team perspective. And we're actually, we love a challenge. Everyone likes to be the best in recruitment sometimes, let's be honest. So we're actually in the new financial year in the corporate team going to run a challenge where we are trying to get people to move away from your traditional sourcing channels of adverts. So we're going to run a challenge to use proactive search and VideoMyJob together for as many roles as we can for a month. Okay. So we'll be kicking that off in the new financial year. So I'm excited to see how those results go.
We'll have to check back in with you, and we'll try and get that feedback out to the rest of the community to let them know how it goes. Yeah,
it'll be really interesting. And then from a hiring manager perspective, one of the things that we did was we actually went into the retail store with from the team and did some filming, which was really great. We gave obviously people a heads up that we were coming, so it wasn't a surprise with cameras being like, tell us about your career journey. But they prepared scripts, and we came in and videoed with them and got some really good content from that day as well. So that was really positive. And then we've also started asking more senior people to film roles, so people at the head of an executive level, just because, if they're a champion of the platform, then it means when you ask someone else in the team, they can really speak through their experience as well. And so, we had an example recently where one of the heads of made a really great video and got some good traction, so it became a competition with the other head of. So apparently Medibank's quite competitive is what I'm trying to say. So that was great. And then I guess the other challenge that we have come up against is that you reach out to a hiring manager and they are enthusiastic and they say yes, and then they're busy And so your video doesn't come back until 2 weeks later,
Mm-hmm.
and you've already done all your sourcing. So its impact isn't there as much anymore. So we have, which is great with the story feed content as well, is reaching out to people proactively to get videos of their team stories. So particularly in areas like marketing automation, where it's quite difficult to find candidates and source. Also in some of our health channels as well, capturing career development stories and things like that too, so that they're proactively there when a candidate applies, and you're not chasing someone up saying, "Can you please make me a video overnight because I need to post the advert tomorrow."
So that never happens.
No, it never happens. No, definitely not. And then, I guess another issue, not another issue, but another thing that is always a challenge is following people up.
Yeah.
So we're actually really excited about the campaigns tool. I was saying before, we haven't, definitely not experts on it yet, but we are looking at across those teams, internal teams in TA that I was speaking about before, creating some lead opportunities for some people within the teams to kind of own a campaign for their area. And then that will help us with all the follow-ups for hiring managers and the video collation and things like that as well, just to see how teams are tracking. And you never know, we might make it a competition too, so why not? But I think it's really around just having to play with the tool. It's really diverse in terms of how you can use content. We know it's really personable. So how does that align with your employer brand? And these are the ways that we've found as our team.
That's awesome, because it sounds like you guys have really tapped into, as you said, gotten a little bit creative, but you really recognize that your team is quite competitive and really tapped into that, which is good. And then coming from that, can you tell us a little bit about what wins and outcomes you've gotten incorporating video into your strategy, and then also just how you're quantifying that success as well?
Yeah, definitely. So I think the recruitment in our frontline teams that I was speaking about before, so reviewing that process, I was looking at the stats last night, and in the last campaign, we've saved 6.5 hours in terms of conversations within the campaign. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes to make sure I get the right number there. Which we've reoriented to really use for the team to delve into things around, how do the candidates problem solve? Are they customer centric as well? So I think that's something that's really exciting with the tool is you can really track how many minutes you're saving on those conversations if you're using it from a process perspective, which we definitely are. From an internal candidate perspective, we've also had some really exciting wins as well. So we did have a risk role recently, and we had 3 internal candidates apply. So we created a video of the head of risk talking through the advert. We posted it on Yammer, so our internal channel, and we had 3 internal candidates apply who said that they would not have applied without the video, because I think a job when you're just reading through an advert can be really scary, whereas when you have someone there, particularly in that role, they were looking to develop someone. So when you have the hiring manager saying we're looking to develop someone, this is how we'll develop you, to show that there's actually thought behind it as well. It really encourages people to apply and reach out, and stops them from being so hesitant as well, which is really great. So that's something that we're really passionate about, is that internal candidate experience as well, which we're excited about too. Our story feed, we've had some really great traction. It's mostly anecdotal that we've got. I mean, there's obviously some great analytics that you can look at from a story feed perspective, but I think more for us is around what are we hearing from candidates? Are they actually engaging with the platform as well? Which they definitely are. I think quantifying is something that we definitely need to get better at, though. We did have some issues, and some teams might do as well, just getting approvals to link our YouTube account up to VideoMyJob initially. And so, if you look at our stats, we're doing 1,000% better, but it's because we didn't have YouTube linked up beforehand to actually look at the statistics. So definitely that's something that we'd like to get improve in terms of how we find things. But I think just from those statistics there, the anecdotal feedback, we can definitely see the benefit, and also our team's really enjoying it now.
Because I was just about to ask you, from that organizational change perspective, how's that impacted? Bringing video into that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the channels team is a prime example. They were having really boring, they were saying to someone, can you work on a rotating roster, is not the most exciting conversation you can have in a day. You'd much rather, as a recruiter, have a really engaging conversation to understand what motivates people.
Yeah.
And so from a team perspective, we've had some great feedback from them in terms of just enjoying the jobs more since they've been using the tool, which is awesome. And yeah, from an organizational perspective, I think internal candidate experience, like that's something that's really exciting for us as well. So yeah, I think the tool's been brilliant for us. I'm sure we can use it better.
Yeah.
As always, I'm excited to hear how other people have been using it too. And I think I was profusely excited by the idea of AI sitting in the scripting tool. My eyes lit up when you were talking about that before. So yeah, very excited about the new version. It's great.
Fantastic. And look, I might just do a quick pulse check to see if there's any questions that have come up. I'll just sort of. So do you have any overarching content strategy you're working on for StoryFeed? Like what categories or themes are you trying to build or support goals for?
Yeah, so when with category feed, I think there's a couple of things that we're really trying to focus on. So building content across our different brands at Medibank. So I was mentioning before, we've got the Medibank private health insurance brand. We've also got our AHM brand, and then we've got our Ample Health side of the business, which was only launched in the middle of last year. So we brought together a number of different health services businesses. And so we really wanted to, the focus was to capture the employee stories across those different businesses. And make sure that that was clear to people when they jumped on. Because I think particularly with Ampler, when it was launched to market, it wasn't necessarily as clear how it came with the Medibank brand. So that's definitely something we focused on. And then also I think it's really from a benefits perspective, like I was saying before, that's the kind of content that we're trying to build in terms of the Medibank benefits, how we work. We've got a video on there, for example, around hybrid working and how it shapes their day, because I think one of the really exciting things about working at Medibank is the flexibility and the focus on, you know, having the healthiest workplace in Australia is quite a big goal. And so how does that really big goal actually narrow down into employee experience? So those are the big strategies that we've been focusing on, but we're pretty happy with where the story feed is at the moment.
It's looking really great, and you know, with StoryFeed as well, being able to have those categories so that, you know, anybody coming in to have a look, they can then you know, go in and have a look at what they want to see or what's interesting to them, which is awesome. Any other questions in there, Paul? Let's just bring that up. Okay. And so we've got another one come up saying, great, and how many videos per theme or category in the feed do you think is needed to really make an impact?
Oh, that's a great question. I probably don't know the answer to that. I mean, I think as long as it's a good video. And I also think it's important, you know, with our house, like we've got the house of brands that I was speaking about before, to make sure that you're capturing the employee experience under those different brands. So particularly if you have different workforces as well, making sure that those different workforce experience is captured. So I don't have a magic number, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It'll depend on your business and the kind of workforce that you have.
That you've got. Okay. Well, hopefully that answers that question.
If it doesn't, let me know.
Well, I've only got one last question left, and that is, do you have any advice, Steph, for your fellow VMJ community who might be struggling with adoption, who might be where they've just maybe gotten the platform and they, sort of starting from scratch? Is there anything, thinking back to your early days with the platform itself and trying to get your team on board, is there any advice you would give or anything that you'd like to pass on?
Definitely. I wrote down a few dot points.
Oh, great.
I think number one is find your advocates and spend time building that advocate network. Particularly start within your team. Make sure that they're really familiar with the app. Make sure that they're familiar with the comms that are going out to the managers as well, because if you get a question about it, it seems simple, but, if you get a question about an email and you don't know how to answer it, it's just another communication point you need to have with them. So build those advocates within your team, really sell, what you want out of it to them as well, and then broaden those advocates into the business. So, you only need one person initially. So definitely build that out. We also lean quite a bit on, we have like a centre of excellence model at Medibank. We have really good relationships with our business partnering team as well. And equally, they have great relationships with the business. So, if there was an area where it was really hard to recruit and we weren't getting a bit of traction, just leaning on them to nudge them on the shoulder and say, hey, this actually will make a really big impact. Can you please make a video? Get creative as well. So there's the story feed, which is brilliant. But, how else can you use VideoMyJob within your processes? I think, like, speaking through these examples, one of the things that is most exciting is like how we've built the videos into the frontline recruitment processes for me, I think, because I can see the impact for candidate, I can see the impact for our team, and then through the questions that we're having, also people leader impact in terms of the quality of candidates that are coming through. And so that came about by getting a bit creative, like how else can we pop a video into our process to make it better? And so, have a play. Like, we've definitely messed a few things up, but it's okay. It's the video. So definitely just have some fun with it, and lead by example too. For me, with that example, it was literally just getting in front of the video myself. Definitely, did it maybe 10 times before I was comfortable for it to go to the team, and that's okay. But I think those are the key things for me as well.
I love that. Look, Steph, thank you so much for coming in and having a chat. Thank you so much for providing that insight as well. Because as I said, I know a lot of our VMJ community members are in varying sort of places within their VMJ journey, and sort of bringing video content into it. And it's always great to hear what different businesses are doing and how they're achieving their talent brand goals. So
definitely, thank you so much. And I'm super keen to hear, from this series, we definitely haven't got it all right. I think my biggest question was, like, if we were going to ask for anything of the industry, like hiring and manager adoption remains our biggest barrier. So, like, I'd love to hear more creative ways that other people are going about bringing people on board too. We definitely haven't got it perfect. So really excited to be part of the community and hear what other people are doing as well. Amazing. Well, I'll definitely pose that question to our next Power User Spotlight person. So thanks. Well, look, thank you so much for everybody that's dialed in today as well. We hope that you got a lot out of today's session. We have recorded this live session, so I will be putting the recording in our newsletter that will go out next Friday. So keep your eye on that inbox. And this is a quarterly event, so also do keep your eye on your inbox for an invitation for our next event. Thank you so much for joining, guys.